The Coaches Show is brought to you by Highway 55, Burgers, Shakes, and Fries, Nunboys.com, and GPS Photography and Video, GPSPhotoandVideo.com. Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Glenn Young. We're at Highway 55 live. Burgers, Shakes, and Fries, and they're cooking up back there, Coach.
They are. Packed house today.
Our other sponsors, Nunboys.com, GPS Photography and Video.com. You can go ahead and bring it in, man. You got the drinks, and today's special is burgers.
Yeah, and we got
two dogs, banana pudding. Okay, and then you got 2 dogs and a drink for $5.99. Oh, there you go. Coach, before we talk about the end of the season, let's talk about a little bit about the conference tournament. We started off with Purnell Sweat, took care of them in short order, but then rode on to Lumberton, and of course they proved to be the team they've been most of the year. What's been your assessment, how they played in the conference up until we started into the playoffs?
Well, regular conference season, I think we played well. Slipped up a little bit at the very end with a loss to Pinecrest at Pinecrest, which was kind of weird for us. Saturday game, 12 o'clock game.
Yes.
So, nothing very favorable about that. And then that led us into the conference tournament. Purnell Sweat, we did pretty well, but also in that week we had some weather delays, so that switched up some game time. So looked at going into the second round of the playoffs on a back-to-back. Very big win. Then you have a tough opponent in Lumberton, and I think we kind of just came off of a relaxed win and went into a very big game to relax.
Wow. Who were your top performers throughout the conference tournament?
Jaquay Bradshaw, she had a pretty consistent showing in the 2 games in the conference tournament.
Okay. Now you did move some players up from JV, correct?
Yes.
And some of them saw some significant playing time out there. Tell me about those players.
I moved up Kaya Locklear, which is a guard. She was actually able to put in some quality minutes against Purnell Sweat. She scored 7 points.
She busted from way downtown. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, she scored 7 points. Very aggressive guard. I just wanted to try to introduce her to higher level basketball with her being a freshman and just coming in. So I just wanted to give her a little taste. In the game of the playoffs, I also moved up Nikayla McCullough. She's a sophomore, somewhat of a guard forward. And I also wanted to see, as far as competitively, if she will be able to compete on that level coming from JV. And she actually scored 2 points in our playoff game. So I think that, they were good assets. Not that they really gave us anything big, but we were able to introduce them into the next level. So, it's good for us in the outlook further.
Elijah Cummings, who on the boys, he played significant time this year as a freshman. And then you got a freshman, Kyla Locklear. The nucleus looks good for next year.
Yes, very much so.
Let's talk about the playoffs. New Bern, you were what seed?
We were a 21 seed.
Wow. In the top 3 qualifiers for the playoffs in the SEC were you, Lumberton, and who else?
Pinecrest actually ended up getting a seed also.
Okay.
They went in as a 32 seed.
Okay. So now, who's left standing? Anybody in the SEC?
Lumberton.
Lumberton's still standing? Okay. So you go into New Bern, about 2.5 hour trip.
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Way down in Wilmington. What time did you guys leave here?
We left here at 1. We wanted to go on and get on the road and try to get there, sit down, have a nice meal, relax, and get there in time to stretch out a little bit, get familiar with the court, and be able to take our time.
Well, I'll tell you what you didn't hear and what you didn't see. During the boys' game at halftime against Ragsdale, they announced the score 27-23. You guys were down by 4, and the whole gym erupted. So, at that point, everybody's saying, oh, they're going to win. They're going to do this. But came up short. Take me through the first half and then into the second half of what happened. And was it just a thing of fatigue, running out of gas? Because it did not seem that they were that much better than you.
The first half, I say that we did have a little bit of shock factor on their end. They looked gassed, and we were very poised. The momentum shifted back and forth a little bit. We took control. They took control. Some foul play kind of played a factor with us and Mahogany, but we were still able to, hold on right there with them in that first half. A lot of their best players that they had were, having a hard time, I think, playing with the defense that we had. And
we seen they took you guys for granted.
More than likely, yeah. I was happy because I said, even with our record, we're not the team that matches our record. So I knew going into playoffs that we would be a very dangerous team. If we had a few more possessions where they weren't empty and we got something out of it, I definitely think it would have been a closer game, if not a win. So we were right there. The second half, we started off with some possessions that gave them, six quick buckets, and then, battling from that, it was hard to get ahead again. So.
How did your girls take it?
I think they were very disappointed, but I think they looked at the whole game as a game that they could have won. But the bigger picture for me, I was very proud because no one expected us to be there.
No,
let alone be there and compete. We won. We played a game that we could have won.
You don't want to find yourself rationalizing to say, okay, we could have this and could have done that to make yourself feel better, but you have a good team, you have a good nucleus going into next year. When you look at our team this year, and I asked Coach Patterson the same thing, maybe you can reflect on it now. I asked you the same question during the year. How good was this team?
This team was very good. We started late with Coach Patterson. I think that they have a little bit more experience with the boys playing together, knowing his style and things like that. So with me being a new coach, the girls just now learning to play in the systems that I brought to the team, they did a great job.
What did the New Bern coaches say to you? Did they say anything? Were they surprised? Did they just like...
No, they didn't say anything, but I did get some feedback from our fans, and they were saying that in the stands, they were saying, oh, we haven't faced a team like this. This is a good team. The environment was nice. It was definitely playoff type.
And the moment was not too big for your players.
No.
So, you got to think, hey, this is only the beginning, Coach. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about end of season plus Ask the Coach segment. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Coaches Show, and I'm sitting here with head women's basketball coach Sakellie Daniels. And Coach, as you look now at the season, it's over. But when you look at the playoffs, how good is the SEC? You feel like the people that we play or the teams that we play in the SEC help you to compete outside the conference, or let alone in the playoffs?
Yeah, I definitely think that they do. To me, we have a very competitive conference. You can't take any team lightly.
No.
Scotland, although they only lost one game to Lumberton, and the same with Lumberton losing one game to Scotland, they split their series. But Pinecrest and Richmond played very close games with Scotland. The second go around with Scotland, we played a very close game. The game against Lumberton, they came here and got a big jump on us, but when we went there, we played a close game. So, to say the least, I think that all the teams in the SEC can compete, if nothing else.
And lastly, one of the takeaways from the New Bern game was that they were not used to Hope's style of play, or the SEC style of play. And what is that style of play that they were so shell-shocked, like, whoa?
Aggressive and athletic.
Definitely. And with the press and then the perimeter, we've always had the athletes. Now, the thing about it, we are always upset because of the conference we play in. SEC teams are dangerous once they get in the playoffs because you never know how far they're going to go because we beat each other up during the season. It's like a true SEC is in football.
Right.
So now, Coach, looking at the end of the season, have you done any of your exit interviews yet with the coaches or players?
No, I haven't done any exit interviews yet. I'm thinking probably that I'll start next week. Just give the girls the rest of the time. Some of them are transitioning over into their spring sports. So giving them some time to go on and do that and have some self-time reflection. And then next week I'll probably bring them in throughout the week and just kind of get their feedback.
Same with your coaching staff?
Yes.
So now you look at your program, freshman, JVs, varsity, how are we looking for next year?
I actually was able to see a few of the 8th graders play this year.
So you went down
in the East-West, the East-West matchups. Talked to a few of the athletes at Sandy Grove, even though they didn't have a team. And there's some girls out there that still play with basketball a little bit. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be an exciting off season to say the least. I'm generating some more interest from other girls, so I'm looking forward to workouts.
Are you planning any summer camps over the summer?
Yes, I'm hoping to at least get us in 1 to 2 team camps to let us play a little bit. Probably try to get a few of my girls into some elite camps just so they can understand position and hard work and playing against some other elite players. So yeah, I'm hoping this summer that we can be exposed to the whole 9.
Tell me a little bit about the timeline leading up to November, say from June to November. Summer workouts, training.
The summer workouts will definitely be a little more intense. I think this year we set the bar.
Okay.
Expectations were average. The results were above average.
When do you think you'll start? Late June, July time frame, or?
Yeah, probably whenever the open period is.
Graduation's June 10th, so you don't want to get too early. What about coaches clinics? When will that take place?
The coaching clinic usually, if I'm not mistaken, it's usually in the latter part of June or mid-July, somewhere around that time.
Well, Coach, let's move on to the Ask the Coach segment. The burning question was, and I asked Coach Kwame Patterson this as well, the conference tournament. You already qualified for the playoffs. If the conference tournament does not affect playoff seeding, why play it? You're in a situation where your players could get hurt. A number of things could happen. Why participate?
Well, with conference, you always have conference tournament, so it goes hand to hand. But I think it affects it, but it doesn't affect it because we could have been a team that won the conference tournament, and then all of a sudden now we're getting a higher seed going into the state playoffs. So I think it's a gift and a curse. Maybe you could turn a few heads if you're on the edge of getting in.
Right.
Maybe you could make some noise right there at the end and possibly secure a spot in the playoffs. So there's much to play for. To me, for most teams, they probably don't have much to lose.
Right.
And if you're a team that's already in for the state playoffs, then you look at it as still having a little bit of time to compete, and somewhat kind of practice, I guess, but not against inter-squad scrimmage, having an opponent. So.
I guess when you look at it from a senior point of view, every senior wants one more game, one more period.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing as well. With your seniors, when will you talk to them, or any of them have a chance going to the next level? What's been your thoughts on that?
Yeah, one of my seniors has generated some late interest, so I'm pushing her to look a little more deeper and see what can happen with that. Probably try to get a few of them to play with some summer teams to see if they could possibly get some interest and get something before summer is out. But yeah, as of right now, I do have one senior that probably for sure, will get some more attention.
Anybody you want to tell us about?
Period. That's Denia Watkins. Dee
Janiyah Watkins, okay. What was her number?
Didi was 5. Yeah, she was number 5.
Okay. So, I mean, very competitive season, looking good for next year. I mean, Coach, I've enjoyed it. Not where we want to be, but as you look at the 3 goals every year going into it, win the SEC, qualify for the playoffs, and then, of course, win a state championship. We got one of those 3.
That's
so now
right.
it's just a thing of keep pushing, and we just have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Well, coming up later, Coach, we're going to get a chance to talk to Mahogany Matthews.
No, Janiyah Harrington.
Janiyah Harrington. She's a sophomore.
She's a junior.
Junior. One of your big-time players, contributors this year. Tell us a little bit about her.
Janiyah Harrington is she's my go-getter. You know, I matched her up against a lot of the tougher opponents this season. Very humble, aggressive player, athletic player, does anything that's asked of her. Big piece that'll be coming back for the next year, and looking forward to developing her this summer. So she's been there and done that. You know, she's been through a few coaches now, so you know, she has a lot of experience in areas that the other players don't. Also, with her age, you know, maturity, getting ready to be an upcoming senior going into this next season. So yes, big asset.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
As always, thanks. Stay tuned. We're coming up. We'll be talking to Janiyah Harrington. And again, the Coaches Show is brought to you by Highway 55, Burger, Shakes, and Fries, nunboys.com, GPS for photography and video, gpsphotoandvideo.com. It's game day leading up to West Charlotte as the boys will play them tonight here at Hope County. So don't want to miss that. We'll see how they do, huh?
I'm looking forward to a
They're
good
living
game.
in the moment. I am
Yes.
too. You know, West Charlotte came on this big charter bus, but hey, upsets in there.
That's right.
So we'll see what happens.
Damn Bucktown now. Buck territory.
That's it. We'll be back in a moment.